Hi my dear kids, I am so happy to see you all through this video session. Right, I am Nirmala signing in to make you understand about your next concept from your science subject. So, in your third standard, your sixth lesson. So, your sixth lesson is about living and non-living things. So, what are these living and non-living things? So, now children, we can see so many things around our place, right. So, we see plants, animals, birds and of course, human beings, right. So, these are all living things and some things that we can see. For example, your bench, your chair, your school bag, your school box, pencil box. So, all these materials, so these things are called as non-living things. So, now this living things and non-living things, they differ in many places, right. So, we can see many differences in this living things and non-living things, right. So, when you go to a park, in the park you can see many living things, for example, plants, animals, birds, dogs and also we can see many human beings will be wandering around the park, right. So, in the park you see many living things, right. The same way you can see many non-living things, your stone, the soil, the bench, the swing. So, all these are all non-living things. Now, let us see how the living things and non-living things differ. So, we are going to learn about living things and non-living things. So, here you can see many living things and non-living things. So, what is this? This is a living thing or non-living thing? It is a bird, right. So, bird is a living thing. Ball is a non-living thing, exactly. Pen is a non-living thing. Bee is nothing but your honey bee, right. So, honey bee is a living thing. Eraser is a non-living thing. Duck, your duck is a living thing. Bench or chair is a non-living thing. Horse, so horse is a living thing. Stone is a non-living thing. Cat is a living thing. So, now let us see what are the living things. So, all the living things, what are the living things that we are going to see is, of course, plants. So, plants are considered as living things, right, and animals. So, many animals also come under living things, and insects like butterfly, mosquitoes, bee. So, they also come under living things, and some microorganisms like your bacteria also come under living things, and human beings also come under living things. Now, let us write what are the living things that we saw. So, first we saw plants, right. So, plants is a what? It is a living things, right. So, we are going to write what are the living things. So, living things. So, first plants, 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 and animals, 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 birds, 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 and of course, human beings, humanbeings, human beings, and also insects. So, insects. So, these are all the examples of living things. What are the examples that we saw? Plants, animals, birds, insects and of course, human beings, right. So, these all come under living things. Now, let us see what are the non-living things. So, the non-living things that are You can see here fan, bench, paper, your chair, table, cupboard. So, these all come under non-living things, right. So, now let us write what are the non-living things. Now, you are going to tell me, now Rohit, you are going to tell me some examples for non-living things, right. So, are you ready? Yes. So, tell me what are the non-living things that you saw here. So, first we saw non-living, what are the non-living things? Think and tell me, no problem. So, non-living things. So, tell me a non-living thing. Yes, chair, C-H-A-I-R, chair. Bench, B-E-N-C-H, bench. Pen, P-E-N, pen. Eraser, E-R-A-S-E-R, eraser. Fan, F-A-N, fan. And paper, P-A-P-E-R, paper. And then cupboard, C-U-P-B-O-A-R-D, cupboard. Okay, right. So, these are all the non-living things that we saw: chair, bench, pen, eraser, fan, paper, cupboard. So, these are all the non-living things. Now, you know what are the examples of living things and non-living things, right. So, now we will see how the non-living things and the living things differ. So, usually the non-living things, first we will see about living things. So, the living things need food and water. So, living things, they need what? They need food and water. So, all the living things in this world, they need food, and water. So, they need food and water to live. So, to live, right. So, many animals, for example, most of the animals, they eat plants. So, animals eat plants, and they also eat flesh of other animals. So, they also eat flesh of other animals, right. So, animals depend on plants and on the other animals, but of course humans also depend on plants, because human beings, we need food, right. So, we eat plants as well as plants and animal sources. So, we eat plant sources and animal sources. For example, meat, egg, chicken, right, fish. So, animals, human beings eat plant sources as well as animal sources. But if you take plants, so plants, they also need food, and water to live, and they prepare their own food. So, if you take animals or human beings, we do not prepare our own food, even though we need the raw materials from the plants and we need the meat products from the animals, right. But the plants are the only things, they produce the food on their own. So, they prepare food on their own. So, they prepare food by their own. So, they prepare their food by their own. So, the leaves of the plants. So, you can see the leaves of the plant, They prepare the food with the help of sunlight, air and water. So, the help of sunlight and with the help of air and water, so plants prepare their own food. So, they prepare their own food using these raw materials, right. So, plants are the only things they prepare their own food, and this animals eat the plants and some animals eat the flesh of other animals, right. So, now let us see what are the animals, the example of the animals. So, you can see here a cat is drinking water, right. So, it is a living thing, it need water to live. The same way you can see some animals eating the food and the human beings eating the food to live. The same way you can see the leaves of the plants with the help of sunlight, air and water. So, they prepare their own food. So, they prepare their own food and they store the food in themselves, in their plant itself, in the parts of the plants. So, they prepare the food and they store inside the plant, right. So, you can see here. So, living things need food and water. Now, let us see the next one. So, next, does a bicycle eat food? So, now let us compare this with the non-living things. Now, tell me whether non-living things need food, whether the bench need food, whether you want to feed something, some food to the bench. No, right. So, non-living things does not need food, they do not eat food, right. So, non-living things do not need food and water. So, your bench, your chair, your eraser does not need food to live, or it do not need food and water, right. So, are you clear with this? Yes. Now children, after you watch the video, in the below description you can find a Google Drive link. If you just click the link, you will get the lesson related study material, question bank and self assessment. So, go through all that. In that we have added the creative questions also. Copy the questions in your science subject note and read it, and you have to do the self assessment. So, with this your term 1 is over, right. So, you have to read and you have to do the self assessment. By doing the self assessment, it will be easy for you to do the term 1 semester examinations, right. So, thank you children, have a good day.